Here in LA, and unfortunately around the country, COVID is making a comeback. And the cases here have been pretty rough. When we, as a county, got rid of basically most of our lockdown, we didn't have to wear masks indoors and stuff like that. Cases were down to about 150 per day. Well, in the most recent reporting, they're back up above 1,500, increasing tenfold from just a month or so ago. The highest number seen since early March. Hospitalizations have also jumped up to 452, doubling since the reopening about a month ago. And thanks to this, the mask mandate is going to be resumed. So after a month off, which wasn't even long enough for me to stop wearing mine in places like the gym and everything, starting tomorrow night, Brett, the masks are coming back. And we know that the vast majority of all of you watching this don't live in LA. We're gonna broaden the scope in just a little bit, but the rise in COVID cases has not spared even where we're filming from. So Brett, what do you make of this?
This is why I never once wore a mask, and why I never, if there was a devaccination plan, I back that thing up. But no, this is what a lot of people were scared might happen in a very what seemed like an irrational fear way, that it would just somehow come back in that moment where we all had the feeling at the end of the movie where we were on the other side of it, and Jason in Friday the 13th was officially slain. And is it coming back for one last scare at the end of the movie to end the one-off, or is this going to be like Friday the 13th, where every time we think they have come to a close on the franchise, it just keeps coming back with more and more horrifying sequels? That similar to the arc of that, sometimes they'll come back with one that is compelling, but more often than not, they're just absolutely demoralizing. But the difference between this and a Friday the 13th movie is this one is very, very real and actually very, very deadly. But the campy jokes along the way are still happening nonstop from people at Fox News.
That's true. Yeah, it's like that point where you grab something off the desk and you hit the killer and it knocks him down, and rather than hitting him 40 or 50 more times, you just run away. Except in this analogy, you only hit him the one time because you've been convinced that hitting him more makes you sheeple or whatever. And so we've left it out there to return. And so we're seeing that. That said, we do have the vaccine now. And so that you might think, well, I've been hearing about people who are still getting sick, even though they had the vaccine, they still got COVID. Okay, that is true, and not a surprise, because we've been making clear from the very beginning that it does not give you perfect immunity. But what it does do is make it far less likely for you to get it. And if you do, you're far less likely to get a serious case, which is being reflected even here in LA County. Yesterday, Michael Short tweeted, of the 398 COVID patients hospitalized in LA County, 0 were vaccinated. Which means that, yes, you can still get sick. That is totally true, but it is gonna lower your odds. And if you do get sick, you're unlikely to end up in the hospital or killed as a result of it. And this is reflective of what we saw, I believe, in Maryland like a week ago. They had a good number of people who still died, unfortunately, and like more than 99, I think it was 99.7% weren't vaccinated. So the numbers are going back up. Some of those people getting COVID have been vaccinated, but you can still largely protect yourself if you get the shot, and if you get both, if you haven't already.
Yeah. And the most frustrating thing, I'm gonna keep going with the metaphor for a bad horror movie, is it's so many parts of this are predictable and so many of them are infuriating. Like a lot of us looking at people who aren't vaccinated are basically the ones watching someone go into the dark basement, and we're like, don't go in the basement. It's very dangerous there. Yeah. Everyone around you has told you if you go into the basement, it's going to be terrible. And that's what's frustrating. And then the other part that's wildly predictable and sad is, even though those stats are out there, you're gonna have people like Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham on their shows while they'll take very strong positions that if you question them, you get shot down as a naysayer and a fool, they'll ignore those very real facts that vaccinated people are not being hospitalized, not dying in relation to the number of people who are unvaccinated, who are suffering the same fate they've been suffering since the beginning of the pandemic before we had the vaccinations. They're going to say, I'm just asking questions. Is it bad to ask questions like something that I'm gonna ask, which is not really a question, but essentially rephrasing the statement, don't get vaccinated, let me pet your fragile ego that you don't like facts, and this is a safe space for you to avoid them and still feel like you're scoring some huge rhetorical win because Tucker's speech and debate classes taught him exactly how to be wildly infuriating.
Yeah, people in the pre-show were requesting your Tucker Carlson impression. I feel like we got a little bit of it right there. Maybe we'll get some more later on, actually.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.